Hello! How are we all doing? Oh, am I alive yet? It's been a busy old week, and there's a lot of you in the chat. So, who was first? Oh, it was you, Mike. Talking to yourself.
Yes.
It's been that kind of week. Hello, Debbie. Debbie was the real first one in, followed by Patricia and Pandemonium. Do love the avatar. Panda. I absolutely adore pandas. And Kim and Simon is in the house. Oh, flu. Oh, full, not flu. Is that full of pizza?
Full of pizza, yeah.
Hello, Renee. Renee says, can't wait for the Canva AI demo. Where were you last week? Oh, we did all of that last week. I could throw a bit of AI in if you like. But last week, we did full-blown Canva AI. So catch up. There was even some Dutch in there. Obviously, I didn't write it. But, you know, Canva AI does translations. Just saying. So we thought of you. Hello, Graham. Hello, Peter. And Jonathan is in the house as well. I heard from Mike, who filled me in because I'm a bit behind, that you're enjoying the Obsidian series. So I will have a ponder on what you've written. But basically, I don't worry about the graphics. I think I need to write a manifesto or something, don't I? So not exactly what I'm doing, but why I'm doing it that way. I shall have a ponder. But in relation to Jonathan's query, which was about graphics in Obsidian, Jamie wanted to know about TextSniper. So I've put in a little piece on TextSniper. TextSniper is your friend when it comes to graphics. If you're putting a graphic in because it's a slide in a presentation or a slide in a video, you could text snipe it and then just paste the text in. I do that a lot.
Jammy's just arrived.
Oh, Jammy's in the house. Hello, Jammy. Who else have we got in here? Debbie's in here. And am I up to date? Have I forgotten anybody?
Don't think so.
Well, if you are one of the silent majority, and I do mean majority, wow, have you seen the viewing stats? It's scary beans. Hello to you. Hello to you. Don't feel any pressure to get into the chat. I know we're all barking, but we do enjoy ourselves. Okay, so I've got something special in the week at MacBites headquarters. So we need to get on with it, don't we? So, slides are even moving. Good grief. Oh, isn't it grand when things work? I've jinxed it now. So we have the week at MacBites headquarters. Then we have a tiny update to Raycast, or potentially a huge update to Raycast, depending on your perspective, which is basically AI. Then I've got this TextSniper demo because we're trying to part Jammy from his cache, and I don't think it's going to prove difficult with TextSniper. Then we've got Notion automation buttons. They give with one hand and they take away with the other. Not pleased, Notion. Not by a long way, but I'll discuss that. Then we've got Canva Create. So Canva Create was last week, not the week just gone, week before, and they announced 10 huge updates, 3 extras, and even a bonus after that. So I've handpicked a couple to look at today. I've even, which is most unlikely, isn't it, Mike? Blue Petered it, because with the AI and the automatic magic, as Canva call it, it can work fabulous on Thursday, comes to Friday and it's live, doesn't want to know. So I have done the demos so you can see a before and an after if it's in a mood. We will work out whether it's in a mood or not shortly. Oh no, I've just realised what I've done, Mark.
What?
No, I need taking out and flogging with a wet lettuce. I deleted a slide because it was black. You know, so I don't need a black slide. That just realised right now, middle of the presentation, that it had the video on it. So I'm going to need to go back and put that in. And that will be very shortly. Oh, anyway, then we've got a freebie. That freebie is going to thrill you if you are an Affinity user, particularly publisher. And then we've got a special on Obsidian. So we will be wrapping up the advanced templater things, which is I left you on the edge of a cliff there. It was a cliffhanger. I said I wondered if I could automate my own daily note. So I'd done the date of it from the file, and I'd done the day part, so it would say Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the right place. But that still left me with going back a day, going forward a day, and the 3 weeks that I have at the bottom: current week, last week, next week. Spoiler, I've done it. So I will take you through all of that. I could even make that available if you want it, let me know. But this week, only yesterday, there was an insider build. And the insider build they're not as big an update as the Canvas, but they could prove to be. So I thought I'd show you the insider build. Not available to everybody yet, unless you are an insider. So there is the Catalyst program where you support Obsidian. It's not a subscription, it's a one-off fee. I think the least you can pay is $25 for life. And that gives you access to insider build. So you get to see the new stuff first. So I'm in that program. I will show you those new features. Right. Oh, we've got yay, yes, please, and yes, please. I'm wondering what that was for. Do let me know.
I don't know.
What that was. I ask these things and then I get lost in the chat because there's a 30-second delay. Context. Give me some context. Right. So I'm going to need to come out of this so I can put the video back that shouldn't have been disappeared. Right. But this is because we're lucky I'm here at all, aren't we? I had to reboot the machine at 10 to. It took one on itself. The Finder thought it was Vivaldi. Vivaldi didn't want to know at all, and then everything else fell over. So it's a wonder I'm here. So I'm just going to say we broadcast in 1080p. Make sure you're watching in 1080p. There is a cog in the lower right-hand corner. While you are there, there is a like button as well. So I will, at this point, come out of this because I'm going to need to do things with the presentation. So,
Obsidian daily template.
Right, okay. Right, so I'm coming out of that totally. You're looking at a grey screen while I go and find the video that I stupidly
And
deleted.
Obsidian manifesto document.
How best to use... Yeah, best practice for Obsidian, I suppose. Oh, now I need to know where I put that video and everything. I should have put a note on it, shouldn't I? I really should. Right, I've got it. So all I now need to do is to get it back where it belongs.
In the meanwhile, whilst we're filling in
while
time...
while you're entertaining yourselves.
Yeah, you'll be proud of me for what I've just done.
Oh, will I?
Yes.
Go on.
Well, anybody who's heard the show...
Oh, yes, the MacBite, the second MacBite show in living memory, you mean?
And we discussed a certain keyboard shortcut.
Oh,
that I could never remember.
We did.
That I've just remembered.
Oh, it's a miracle.
Yes.
Yes, it's a miracle. Right. I think this will work. If it doesn't, this is going to be a complete disaster. But, let's get going. We were there, weren't we? Please don't go back to the beginning. Excellent. Right. Don't delete black slides. Right. So, welcome to the week. I thought, how best could we start the week at MacBites headquarters? And what better than Lola being thrilled with her little self? There she was out on Saturday for a walk. She spots a squirrel. She's rather partial to squirrel, isn't she?
She is.
She loves squirrels. So Mike managed to capture it. Not much walking forwards, I notice, in this. So I figured what we'd do, Black Slide, was actually share with you her walk. At this stage, she spotted a squirrel, as you can see. It disappeared through the gate. Then it jumped up on that post that you can see, and she is looking for it. Mike's pulling on the lead. Basically, I didn't bother with the sound. Oh, well, yes, and then she tries to get her head stuck. I didn't bother with the sound because it was basically you saying, Lola, come on, come on, come on. And she didn't want to know, as you can see. So she's still looking for the squirrel. The squirrel is in hiding, having seen her. And this is an average walk with Lola, isn't it? She tends to walk backwards or sideways.
Simon wants to know if she's ever caught one. She did. It was dead.
It was dead. It was roadkill. She was fascinated all the same. So she decides at this stage she will walk on. Then she decides, no, she won't. She's going to go back again. You're still tugging at the lead at this point. And she's working out how she's going to get over that fence, which must be easy 7 foot tall. Then she has a look round, see if there's any more squirrels. But no, she's really peeved at this stage that she hasn't got this squirrel. So I thought I'd share with you 2 minutes with Lola on her walk so you can see what goes on. This isn't the best bit yet. No, at this stage, she's just working the physics out. How far back would she have to go to take a flying leap and actually leap over the fence? Then she hears something. Then she's looking at that. But she's still working out the physics of it all. Brave girl. This is you telling her to come on. She's having none of it. No, she's backing up. She's thinking of taking a flying leap. I think, has she actually seen the squirrel on that fence? Or is she just aware?
I think it's in the tree.
At this stage,
the
Mike wins and she carries on walking. But no, the squirrel's definitely on that fence. Let's go back again. And this time she decides she's going to climb it. Oh, good grief. Get a dog, they say. It'll be restful and peaceful. They say they've never walked a Samoyed. And that was just 2 minutes of Lola's walk. You can imagine what the rest is like. I hope Kim's enjoying that and thinking of Kiva. And then, of course, it's being Saturday. Oh, Tesco. Yeah, it was not good. Mike, you said, didn't you, that you actually you go to the site and they've got the stuff. You refresh it and it's gone.
Yeah.
Literally while you sat there. So it wasn't good. So, no ice cream. Yeah, I was not pleased. However, a lack of ice cream could make Peter's week, though. Because with no ice cream to pleasure myself with, output might increase. Just saying. Yeah, there was another MacBites. I think it's Peter. I think he's had a word with Tesco. Anyway, on to Sunday, and yes, Lola was out and about again. She spots another robot in her park. I mean, where that is going, I don't know. Maybe these things are programmed to take shortcuts. But she was very keen to investigate it anyway. It was less keen to see her. Monday rolled round, and yes, as we've already alluded to, we were in the studio. Again, MacBites Theory was so shocked. Because for Tuesday, we had something unexpected. Yeah, unexpected for us as well. It was a new MacBites. In fact, the reason it was so surprising, it was 2 in a week. Because it was Wednesday last time and Tuesday this time. But it was a good job we went for Tuesday. Because Wednesday, Apple had a small announcement. Obviously, nothing like as momentous as a MacBites episode. Just WWDC, which we pretty much all knew when it was going to be. Are they the rainbow things over the stage? Or are they the mythical, lesser spotted Apple glasses? Are you interested in buying Apple glasses? Me? No. I'm not seeing the point. I cannot see... Is it the HoloLens from Microsoft?
Microsoft's HoloLens, yeah.
And if you've seen an episode of Chicago Med, they've got something they're calling 2.0. And it's like robot surgery. I can see the use for that. Can't see it for an average Joe, though. But never mind. It does mean a MacBites Live on the 5th of June at this stage. They might move it to the 6th, but I think it'll be the Monday. So I'm thinking we need a MacBites Live because we're not having an event this year yet, have we? Anyway, that was the big announcement on Wednesday. But Wednesday I was otherwise engaged at the Second Brain Summit. I thought I'd tease you with what my Obsidian looked like. That is how I organise it. So on the Wednesday, the 29th, as you can see, I had a literature and latte stuff about Scrivener, so a live session about Scrivener. Then the summit, for which there was 7 sessions. Was it 6 or 7 sessions? So that's how I organise it. If you want to see more of that, let me know. Context in the chat. One of my friends who went to it put it all in one page. I don't do that. I put it in separate pages. But it was fascinating to see how one person took the notes and how another does the notes. Completely differently, same app. So it's so flexible, you can do what you want with it. But ultimately, it was pretty busy. It was pretty busy on Wednesday, which took me through to Thursday. Small hours of Thursday morning. I checked something. So we're just going to travel back in time a bit here. If you remember the 18th of March, yeah, that was only 13 days ago. You should be able to remember the 18th of March. I reached the 23,000 subscribers. And I mentioned, if you remember, we were starting the push to 25,000. Wow. Were you as good as your word? Because yesterday it informed me it reached 24,000. 1,000 people in 12 days. Whoa. So thank you to each and every one of you who have subscribed. We are getting much closer to 25,000 now. So fingers crossed. Oh, another 12 days. That would make it our anniversary. Just saying, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? So, when you said, what do you want for our anniversary?
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's looking worried. Could you go out and get me some more subscribers? That's what I'd like. Oh, and it's my birthday in May as well, so that'd be grand. So thank you again for subscribing. Which took us to Friday. I love Fridays. Apart from the fact we've got after hours, it's the Captain's Table Mastermind, and they are always fantastic. Saw Carol there again. I should say hello in the chat, shouldn't I, Carol? But it's just like, oh, Carol's in. The world is to rights. Carol's in. So it was a good one today. It was a good one. Today is also World Backup Day. Who has backed up today? I back up every day, but who has backed up today? If you make a backup, make it today. And I thought the final thing to share is This Week in Robots. And I put this one in especially for Kim, who expressed concern regarding my preference for cars being on the road and not on the pavements. This one was probably the worst of the week. Parked that far from the road, it needed a sat-nav to find it again. I know the pavement's wide, but that's not the point. It's for pedestrians. Do you know, I used to ride my bike on the pavement and get told off.
Yeah, I once got told off by a policeman for doing that.
No, it wasn't a policeman. It was a little old dear who came out of a shop. But, I didn't run her over for crying out loud, so I don't know what the problem was. It would probably be more dangerous for me on the road than it would be for her, me riding on the pavement. But if I'm not allowed to ride my bike on the pavement, then I don't think cars should be on the pavements full stop. Neither did the robot. But that's not where the robot's saga ended, poor thing. If it was struggling with the car, it then had to face Lola. Lola was interested as to what was inside it, having a rare old sniff, what have you got in there and can I eat it? Well, she wasn't giving up either because this was her patch. So she just stood in front of it, poor thing. So between the traffic and the parked car and Lola, this little fella may have needed some extra time to arrive with his delivery. She wasn't letting him past. Do you know, she could be like one of those enforcers where they have to send the robots out with biscuits for the dogs so the dogs let them past. This is an idea I'm thinking of. But Mike outdid Lola, and Mike spotted one stuck on a rather tricky curb. Really, the problem with the curb is it's bent, it's on a corner. So one wheel was up, one wheel was down, and it was stuck. So Mike was about to go and rescue it when the thing rolled back, took a flying leap at the curb, and went on its merry way. So we're still having hours of endless fun with the local robots. Oh, it's fantastic. Right, so there's been an update to Raycast. It's a tiny update, potentially. If you're not aware of Raycast, it's a launcher and much more. We did a whole series on it a few weeks back. The biggest, or potentially the biggest thing with it is I did mention that they wanted you to sign up for an account. The account is free. And you can then beta test AI inside Raycast. If you live in Italy, I've no idea how that's going. And if you've not heard, Italy have banned it. Not Raycast, they've banned AI, ChatGPT. So I don't know if this means that you could use the AI in Raycast and kind of bypass the ban. I don't know how the ban's working. It's literally just broken in the news. But the idea is that you, instead of having AI in Notion or in Craft, if you have the AI in Raycast, when you ask it what you want to ask it, and it generates its content, it will push that content into any app you're working in. So rather than have to go to Notion or have to go to Craft to generate it, there would be an option to just put it into the app that's at the front of the screen. Edge is already doing that, pushing it into web pages. So if you want to see more on AI, let me know. That's the AI update. The invitations are going out as I speak. I haven't had one yet. Just saying, Raycast. Just saying. If you'd like it demoed, you're going to have to give me access. But the thing that is available for everybody is working with colours in Raycast. So let's have a look at that, because that I can show you. Right, so let me find the right page in here and copy some stuff to my clipboard. Let's start off with whatever that one is. So I'm going to Raycast. I'm not typing any keyword. What I've done is I've copied a colour in a specific format, and that is what I'm going to paste in. So what we're looking at there is HSL, hue, saturation, luminance, etc., in 0, 100%, 70%. And what that is how the HSL is formatted, and you would then paste that in. But at the point you're looking at it, you've no idea what colour it is. So if you've picked this up from a website or it's in a style guide somewhere, you've no idea what colour it is. By pasting it into Raycast, and I've not pressed enter or anything, I'm literally just paste it in, it shows you the colour. And so it's showing you the HSL on the left and what colour that is on the right. If you need to know the colour, that is a way to do it. Obviously, the other way to do it is, and I used to do this with Keynote, open Keynote up, have a square in the middle and just paste the code in there and see what colour it turns. So it's that, but automated. Now, it also works, so I've clicked away so I can copy another one and put that in. So this one is, it says blue-green. This is actually your green, Mike. 008037.
That's my green.
Yes, so that's in hex format. So you could put a hex number in there. Not sure if you actually need the hex at the beginning. Yes, you do. You need the hash code at the beginning. But it will then show you that. Now, that's more useful-ish because if you use something like Colour Slurp, which I do, so let's see if Colour Slurp's in a good mood. It is. So this is what the interface to Colour Slurp looks like. I could move this around and select a colour like that. It puts it on the keyboard. I can go into Raycast and paste that in, and as long as there is a hash at the beginning, it will show me what it's called, which is cyan blue. The other formats that I checked it out with were some RGB codes. So sometimes when you're following a tutorial or something, it will give you the colour in a format that you have no idea what it is. So you wouldn't necessarily know. I mean, with hex codes, if it's near the F range, it's probably heading towards, I think the F's are white and the zeros are black. So you can make a guess, but these codes, I've no idea. Now, dark pink red, no idea where they get pink from with that. I was disgusted because that's the red on my blog. And the other colour that I have on my blog is a bit of a weird colour, but I will copy it and we will paste it into there. And it's called greyish red. I'm not seeing that as red either. It's grey, but never mind. So that's what it can do. So if somebody hands you a colour and you've no idea what it is, then you can put it into Raycast and it will tell you. I'm just pondering, yes, that's not going to work, is it? That was a good idea, but it doesn't work. I was wondering if you'd got it in there in a format like that, whether you could pick it up from here in a format that's useful for you. You can't do that, but what you can do, down the bottom, we have a command, which is copy colour as. And it doesn't need to be the Command and K. You can just press enter. And it gives you a range of formats and it will convert that to it. So if I want this RGB converted to hex, I just need to press enter and it says it's copied it to the clipboard. To check that, if we go back in and paste the hex code in, it shows you it is indeed greyish red. And pressing the enter key, you can convert that to any one of all of these formats. So a nice little addition, nothing that you couldn't do in a different way, but the point of Raycast is working quickly. I like that. Who likes that? Who likes that? Let me know. Right, so that was the update to Raycast. So, right, for the first bigger demo of the week is TextSniper. So is Jammy awake? Shall we just check that he's awake before we start and not at the gym, not going off looking for Pringles or anything else? TextSniper is one of those apps that once you've tried it, I'm convinced it's part of macOS, and if I go on a machine and I try and do it and it doesn't work, I'm like, what's wrong? And then I remember it's a standalone app. So we talked about it on MacBites. If you want to hear us chatting about it, check out MacBites. But TextSniper copies the unselectable. So if you can select the text, you can copy it. But TextSniper is for situations where you can't do that. So in the examples in the App Store, as you can see, it's taking text from images, anything you can see on your Mac screen, and converting it into text using text recognition. So it's portable OCR in a way. Did I put the link in so you can put the link in?
You did.
Oh,
I'm just about to put them in.
Excellent. So I will show you how this actually works.
Jammy's eating a pizza, by the way.
That's allowed because you don't need to take notes. As long as you're there in front of your screen, you can see what's going on. Right, let's go have a look at it. So for this, and then the machine crashed, obviously, so I now need to go find my data, where I didn't before because everything was all open and it was all fabulous, and no, it's not, but never mind. Right, I've got some demo files, so these are all images to show you it's selecting text, to show you its capabilities. Right, it's running, but you could be forgiven for thinking it's not running because its interface is up here. And did I even put it in there? I don't think I even have it showing. So I will, it is running, I know it's running, but I may need to bartender it so we can see it. So in my bartender layout, I probably have it in here somewhere and I've no idea which icon's which. Which is TextSniper. Oh, your drop over. That's interesting. Right, we probably need a demonstration of bartender, don't we? And its vagaries. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? I know what I'll do with it. Right, I have in bartender, so I've demonstrated this before, but if you've totally forgotten, like Mike would have done, can't remember anything 2 minutes together, can you?
No.
I have some hotkeys set up. So one is to show the hidden items. It's all 4 keys and B for bartender. And that opens bartender. The more important one is this one here, which is the quick search menu. So if you are using bartender with Raycast, Alfred, anything like that, what the quick search bar is basically Alfred or Raycast inside bartender. So that's the shortcut key. And it's helpfully opened it on the other screen, crying out loud. Can we get it on this one? Apparently not. Right. So I can search for anything that's in there. So I'm obviously going to be looking for TextSniper, which is in there. Right, now I can see what it looks like. What this does is it searches through anything and everything that bartender is controlling and lets you press enter to bring it up, irrespective of where it is. Right, now I know what it looks like. I don't want to keep doing that, so I'm going to go into bartender and see if I can shift it. And it's there. So what I'm going to do is move it from there up to this one. And that should mean it shows all the time while I'm in the demonstration and I can move it back later. So the top one is things that are shown all the time. Then I've got stuff that's hidden. And then I've got stuff that's always hidden. So I never want to see any of these, no matter what. That's where we're at. But this is the interface to TextSniper. And don't do that. That's because it's a weird icon with lots of space in it. Right, the basic thing it does is capture text, and there is a shortcut. That is not the default shortcut. I have changed it. Makes sense to me to be the 2 keys on the left of the keyboard, so the easiest 2 modifier keys, and T for text, or T for TextSniper. And that key was available. That was my problem. I think the default is Command Shift and 2, which does make sense because Command Shift and 3 copies a screen cap. Command Shift and 4 takes a screenshot. Command Shift and 5, are you all writing these down? Command Shift and 5 goes into the configuration of screen capping. Can't remember what Command Shift and 6 does because I never use it. But Command Shift and 7 for me does something entirely different with Cloud App. Command Shift and 2 I have got working with ScreenFloat. So I had that many screen capture apps that that it wasn't available. And that was why I went for T. You can do it with one hand. It's not easy. Something else would be better, including Command Shift and 2. But I took a decision that I didn't want to change the ones that I had. So that's why that's set. But you set that in the preferences. So if you want to set that, you will find that under shortcuts. You can also, as you can see in here, have lots and lots of other shortcuts. I don't do anything with the others. My primary use of TextSniper is to capture just text. And I don't want to waste shortcut keys that are useless to me unless I memorise them for something that I use infrequently. All of the other options that are in here, you can get to from this menu. So if you are not a shortcut person, you do not need to memorise another dozen shortcut keys. You don't actually need to, but I think it is handy to have one set ready to capture text. Right, other stuff in here is whether it launches at login, which mine does, whether it's shown in the menu bar or not, which I have set to yes, but then on top of that, I have Bartender controlling it. I never, ever want any app to make a noise. I am paranoid about that, aren't I, Mike? Some apps don't give you the option to disable sound effects. All you can do is choose a different sound effect from the system, which is why on my system I have 2 seconds of silence called silence.aiff. And if I can't set it to nothing, I change it to silence and I don't hear it. So obviously I turn that one off. It does recognise other languages. Renee's out of luck. Dutch isn't one of them, but there's a few others. We haven't got what am I saying? Catalonian either, have we? So we've got some basic stuff, but it's in no way. It would be fabulous if it could capture it in Dutch and then translate it into English. Maybe the next version. But those are languages that are currently supportive. Right, the additive clipboard and all of this I'm going to come on to. Those are the basics. Let's see what it can actually do just with the basics. So I've got some slides from last week that I have exported as images. So if you remember last week, I said I'd been to a weekly monthly review workshop. If I want to capture that, it's not capturable. It's a PNG. But that's where TextSniper comes in. So I'm using the shortcut key. And it changes my mouse pointer into a capture pointer, just like it would if you were taking a screen capture. But all I'm going to do is draw around the text. And it then says copied to clipboard. I then need to see it, don't I? So let's open COT editor, which is a tiny little editor, and paste it in. Not great. Not great. Right, reason it struggled with that is we've got text behind it. So it picked up some of this. I was wondering what it would do with that. You might have to, in cases like that, actually change the image first. Now, because there's not that much text, you probably just type it out. It's not bad. You could edit it and get rid of it. But we need to see it at its best, don't we? And that's actually quite poor. Because it does such a good job with other ones, that's not great. Right, let's see some stuff that's more difficult. And I tried it with this and I thought there's no chance. It's a strange font. It's at an angle. There's no chance. But it worked in rehearsal. Spoiler alert, it worked in rehearsal. Right, that's not going to be enough. That's not drawing around it enough. So let's go up there and get the whole thing in like that. As I say, it worked in rehearsal. Let's see what mood it's in. There we go. Now, the only thing it did do with that was make it caps, because the font itself is caps. So it doesn't, it's not rude. It doesn't take the text and then decide where the capitals should be. It takes the text and it uses what it sees. So with that one, what could I do? Well, those words there, the HQ needs to be in capitals. I don't know what it'd do if I took the lot. Let's find out. So I've selected it. This is nothing to do with TextSniper. This is back to Raycast, where I have a change case option. And if what I want, and you actually see it in here, a good preview before we get going. What have we got? That takes the spaces out, so we don't want that. That's not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. I'd probably go for that one and then make some changes. So it's copied it to the clipboard and then I get to paste it in. And the one I would probably change there is that. And I'd probably make that lowercase. But that is what it can actually do for you. So that was a weird font at an angle. Right. It doesn't even actually have to be text, I don't think. Let's open up this one. This was from last week, if you remember. That was totally my fault. What was I doing? Oh, yes, I was trying Hindi, wasn't I, for a live edit. Don't do that. It didn't end well. Right, let's go up there and paste that in. And it's in capitals because it was in capitals in the source. Right, for more than that, I'm going to open up this one, which was our bins. It's excitement on Tuesday again, isn't it? Real rubbish day. Right, so with this, I've got much more text. So let's see how it does with that. And it's uppercase and lowercase. So drawing around that and getting rid of that and pasting that one in. And if I make that wider, you can see it's also retained. It hasn't made it separate lines. It's made it as a proper paragraph. Right, just a couple more. In fact, no, there's just one more, which is where there's lots and lots and lots of text. Right, it can do that much text. It's not limited to just an odd line. So I'm going to draw around the whole of that and paste that in like that. And again, it's kept it. You can see where the carriage returns are here. It's not separate lines that you've got to fiddle with. So it can do a whole lot of text. Right. Up here, we have some options. So one option would be to keep the line breaks. And you can turn that on. If you turn that on, let's make sure that is actually on. Right, it's on. And then we go back to this, you may get a totally different result. So I'm going to draw around the whole thing again. So the line breaks are, at the end of each line, you're treating each line independently. So if we go back to there, you can see at the moment they're not. Let's put it underneath so we can do a comparison. In fact, we could do a tab, couldn't we? There we go. And paste it in. Now you can see you've got a whole lot of carriage returns in there. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, surely I would always do that then. You could, but if it was a bulleted list, no, you would want a carriage return at the end of every line. So you would elect to keep them. That feature that we turned on, which I'm going to turn off because I don't want to keep the line breaks. If we go into the preferences, that is something in the shortcuts that you can toggle on and off. I don't use that enough to warrant allocating a shortcut key to it, but you could if you wanted to. Right, so that's what we've got there. So initially when it came out, that was as far as it went. That would be the end of the demo. But there's a lot more things that it can do now. So if I move my files out of the way.
Jamie wants to know if it recognises handwriting.
Depends how good the handwriting is. If you write in block capitals, it'll be fine. But it performs better on text. I have seen really ropey text that it's done very well with. So it's a case of trying it. It would depend on the actual text itself. Now, this is going to be a bit tricky, isn't it? I should have contemplated that. I've even left myself a note to contemplate it, but never mind.
And Carol's just bought it.
Yay! Okay, right. I was going to mention pricing and licensing, but if Carol's gone ahead, that's fine. Right, I'm going to show you a couple of other things that it can actually do. So one of my bugbears when I'm in a session is I'm in a Zoom session and up comes something like that, but without this part of it. So there's nothing that I can TextSnipe. There's just a QR code. And then, of course, you are scrambling across the desk to grab a phone or a device, to point it at your screen, to hope that it hasn't disappeared before you get that far, to recognise it, to go to a website, to download whatever it is they're talking about. And even if you manage all of that, the download is going to be on your device and not on the desktop. The desktop is not a second-class citizen. People just treat it like it is. So I get very grumpy. So what I would have liked is a way with this QR code to use it on my desktop. Now, don't TextSnipe it. The TextSniper function is to snipe text. It will make a stab at it and it will just give you random characters. What you need to do is from within TextSniper, you need to read a QR code or a barcode. It does look as though it's done exactly the same as sniping text, but there will be a difference. At that point, it's copied it to the clipboard. What has it copied to the clipboard? Well, if we go to our editor and we get another tab and we paste it in, it's actually copied the URL that QR code goes to, which I just then paste in and I go and see it. So we can do that. I mean, it's totally superfluous, but we'll do it anyway. Right, so browser, paste, visit, and there you go. So I love that. That feature is incredibly useful because it means if I'm concerned that will disappear before I can manage to get to TextSniper, I can just take a a screenshot of it and then open the graphic up and then copy it from there. Game changer. Game changer in live sessions, that. It also works in videos as well. So love that feature. Absolutely love it. That one is brilliant. Right. Where have I gone? I need to go there. Right. The other thing it can do, so I'm actually skipping one to go back to it at the end because I'd like you to hear it, and that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Right, we've done the keyboard shortcuts, but there is a thing that it can do. So how on earth am I going to do this? That's going to be interesting. I need something on paper, Mike, she said, looking round. Oh, I've got a book on my desk. That might do. Have you got some text on it? Yes. There's some text on this book on my desk. You're wondering why that's important, aren't you?
I've got the gas bill.
No, you're all right. Let's leave the gas bill. The gas bill should be 0. We never use it. Come on. Right, I have a light now so we can see it. Okay, so you can probably work out from this what I'm going to do if I need a book on my desk. Right, I'm going to try and hook it in with my phone. So back up here, we have the ability to import from an iPhone or an iPad. So it's found MacBites Siri, who was snoozing peacefully, poor guy. And Butterfly, Feather, Fur and Integrity are my iPads that are turned on and within the vicinity. Right, so I could take a photo, I could scan documents. Let's try the scan document, shall we? So my phone is in my hand, and you're not seeing it, are you? Never mind. You know what we're looking at. We're looking at a book, and I'm going to try and take a picture of it. If I try and share the screen as well, it won't end well. So I'm just taking a picture. And at this end on my phone, it's asking, do I want to keep it? And yes, I do want to keep it. So I've tapped yes. And I'm tapping save. And it's sending it, I hope. Right, it's copied it to the clipboard. What does it copy to the clipboard? Your guess is as good as mine. At this point, I can actually show it you. Right, so what I'll do is we will mirror the screen. There we go. Come out of it, come out of it. We'll go to the camera, and that is what I've just taken a picture of. So we'll see how well it does. That's what I've taken a picture of. Right, let's come out of that and come out of that. Excellent. So it's on the clipboard. Let's paste it in and see what it gets. And now the mouse has disappeared. Totally disappeared. Right, it's back again. Okay, let's get rid of that and paste it in. And there is what is on the back of the book. Obviously, there's a few issues. What's that supposed to be? Oh, that's a speech mark. Right, but the rest of that is all the stuff that was on the back of that book. So you can bring things in live from documents. That one was a document scan, but you could opt to take a photograph. You could even feed a photograph into it if you want, which you have seen. Right, now, we need to get something in there. Let's get rid of that because this is what it's actually found. So I'm going to just take those 2 paragraphs. Now, for this to actually work, I'm going to need to see if, and I'm going to need you to tell me, Mike, whether you can hear it or not. Let's have a look. Are you going to do anything? I would like you to hear it because what it can do is actually read it out. But for you to hear that, I wonder if it's that one. How on earth do I get this to work? Let's see. I don't need to hear it, I don't think. So what I'm trying to do is get this to broadcast it. Let's find out if it works. This isn't the right way. This isn't the TextSniper way, but we'll give it a go.
Co-founder of Mule Design and raconteur Mike Monteiro wants to help you do your job better.
Right, let's stop.
Co-founder of Mule Design and raconteur Mike Monteiro wants to help you do your job better. From contracts to selling design, from working with clients to working with each other, this brief book is packed with knowledge you can't afford not to know. Running a design shop is hard. When someone actually gets one off the AOL linen ground, they've got something rare and valuable. So they keep their strategies and practices secret. What makes this book so unique is that it plainly and honest.
There we go. Stop it. Right. That's a built-in feature that's built into certain applications, but not all applications. So if we go back to what we were thinking, so in here, if we've got graphics, where's my Finder? If we have graphics, we'll pick something that's short, just because. Right, so this title here, if you want to have that read out, but you don't want to go through I'll have to extract it, I'll have to put it in a text editor, I'll have to get the text editor to read it, you have that option as well. So from up here, you've got text to speech. So I'm not capturing it as text, I'm just highlighting it. Like that. Is that reading it out or not? It's not, is it? What are you doing? What on earth are you doing? Why are you not doing this? Maybe I do have to capture it. It worked yesterday. Is it doing it? I don't think it is it? I can't hear it, that's the problem.
And I'm 30 seconds behind.
And you're 30 seconds behind, so it's generally a nightmare. Let's try it again.
Council and its contractor threaten to audit residents' bins as part of a review of what larger families dump as non-recyclable waste.
Right, I think it read that, didn't it? Time delay while Mike confirms it. Oh, did that work?
I'm still waiting.
Oh.
Yes.
Ah, yay. Right, I've worked out what I did wrong.
Pandemonium says these artificial voices are horrible.
Well, it's all right. MacBites Siri's real. MacBites Siri and Lady Siri are real. Right, what I did incorrectly there was, right, as I drew round it, I'm drawing round it in preview. That was the issue. So what I have to do to make that work is I have to turn on text-to-speech first and then go and capture the text. So if I do another little bit there.
Trafford Council and Amy have written to 3,629 households.
There we go. It's read it out. So these are options, the text-to-speech, where you stop it. And the keep line breaks are options that you turn on. Right. Another thing that I do use this a lot. If you've got some text and it's multiple things, so I will tell you when I use it. If I'm recording something on my iTV device, which is a device that lets me watch TV on my computer, trust me, I'm not watching the stuff that's on early doors. It'll be overnight and it'll be a repeat from the year dot. And they'll put on back-to-back 4 episodes of something. And there will be on the screen, but not selectable, the episode information for each one. So what I want to do is select the first one, select the second one, select the third one, select the fourth one, and paste the whole lot in together. And that means I need to go into here and do certain things. So I don't want to keep the line breaks because I want this to be like one paragraph. But in this example, I am going to keep the line breaks. And the other thing I need to do is change my clipboard from a standard clipboard that copies one thing and pastes one thing to be an additive clipboard where I'm going to put multiple things on the clipboard. Right, at that point, I can then go and select certain things. So if I want to select the first bit there, that's the first bit I want to select. And I'm just randomly going to pick other bits of this. So that's the second part. Then I'm coming on to the bottom and I'm choosing the third part. Now, technically speaking, with a standard clipboard, the only thing that will be left on my clipboard is the beginning of this sentence here. But because I turned on the additive clipboard, I should have all of those items in separate blocks, and that's exactly what I've got. In fact, here, look at this. I had that turned on. So there's my SVU thing. I should probably get rid of that, shouldn't I? But that was what I was doing. And I turned the additive clipboard on, so I get that. But basically, that is what we've just copied. So the first line, then the second line, and then a bit from the subtitle. And I've turned on the additive clipboard, it will do that. If I'd have wanted that to rewrite itself with no carriage returns, then I would have turned the carriage return option off. But there you go. There you have it. So do we have any questions on that?
No.
Right. I will explain the licensing, which is a bit on the weird side, but we did do this on MacBites. You can get a license from the App Store, and it is $11.99. Come on, today. You know you want to. You do. Right. TextSniper. Right. Let's go in and have a look at it. So, I can't actually see the price, but trust me, it's $11.99. There is only one price in here, and there is no subscription or in-app purchases. So you just buy the thing. Obviously, you can install that on as many computers as you like, because that's part of the joy of the App Store. The version you used to buy directly from them used to be the same price as the App Store version, but you could only install it on one machine. They have now got license parity. If you buy direct from them, you can buy a license for one computer, 3 computers, or as many computers as you've got. And they are $7.99, $9.99 and $11.99 accordingly. The one in the App Store is $11.99 because instantly you can install it on as many computers as you like. And that is the pricing and the licensing. So do we have anything on that?
No.
Oh, Carol says perfect. It solves a problem you had yesterday. Oh, excellent. I will not ask what your problem was, but I'm glad that we've got a solution for it. Okay, well, that was Jammy. Jammy wanted to know all about that. So shall we ask Jammy if Jammy is going to be partaking of a little wallet loosening?
It's also on setup for anyone who's got setup.
Yes, it is on setup. You're quite right. I bought it via the App Store because of the licensing ages ago. So I only paid $7.99, which was the same as you would pay for one now. Sometimes it's reduced. It is one of those apps that sometimes...
I think I paid about 4 or 5.
Yeah. There are discounts every now and then. So as it says here, it just sits in the menu bar if that's where you want it, or even hidden. But it's there when you need it. And I think the most important thing is to remember it's there, isn't it, Mike? Because Mike will get something up and then he'll start typing like, what are you doing? I'm just copying that out. No, Mike, TextSniper.
I used it tonight.
Yes, and you've even remembered the shortcut key, because I explained the rationale of the shortcut key that I use, which is it's the 2 modifier keys on the left-hand side of the keyboard and T for text. It's not rocket science, is it?
No. Jammy bought it last week.
Yay! The text-to-speech thing is a new thing. I tend to get... Obsidian will read out my text to me, and Ulysses will read out my text to me. So whenever I write an email... which I write quite a chatty email to the parish secretary every week, and I write it in Obsidian, and then I get Obsidian to read it out to me, and it always finds some error. I've missed out an "an" or an "is" or an "if." I mean, nothing catastrophic. No, what did she do that was catastrophic apart from Paul Variety? This guy was called Vallely, which is an odd name to pronounce anyway, but it auto-corrected to Paul Variety, which was most unfortunate, seeing as though it's a church do, and it wasn't a variety show. So it catches stuff like that. So the text-to-speech could be quite handy. The documents on the go thing, I think it would just depend. But that book, the back of that book, there's a saga with this book. It finally arrived, didn't it? God, it'd have been quicker to write it out in pen. Something like this is not available on the Kindle. If it was, I'd have the Kindle version. So I have the Dead Tree version because that's it. But what I could do with that is point it at it if I wanted to make quotes, and I wanted to put the quotes in Obsidian or something like that. How many pages are in this? Where are we? 138. That wouldn't be too tricky to do the whole thing, would it? Just saying. Which is probably what I'll do. I can't be doing with Dead Trees. But you can scan documents. The biggest thing for me is the QR code and the barcode thing. And these are all the languages, but some of these languages do depend on you being on Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, macOS, which I'm not. So if the languages are only supported on the OS and you're not on that OS, it doesn't support it. That's just the way it is. And that is simply how it works, which we've seen. So if we have no questions on that, let me know. Do we have any questions?
No.
Right. We will move on because I'm not a happy bunny. No, I'm not. You'd think I would be, but no, I'm not. Right. Notion have updated. I put this down as automation buttons, which is the biggest change. But there are a couple of other niceties in there. For those wondering, yes, I do still use Notion, although I adore Obsidian. Notion is where I put shared stuff. So all of the show information, there's no point me having it in my Obsidian if Mike can't see it. So I treat Obsidian as a very personal notebook, and Notion is where all of our shared content is. It even has odd things in there that aren't shared, things like YouTube videos, because the system is in Notion. So when they change something, add something or whatever, I can get grumpy if it doesn't work. And this is the buttons, grumpy, doesn't work properly, but we'll see them. Right, so let's have a look at it. So I need to open another browser, which again I had open and it was all fine and dandy. And then the machine crashed, so I need to open this to get into our demo version of Notion. So there it is. Right, all I've done with this is build a simple table to hold the comms that we send out. So this is a very simplified version of the comms that we actually use. I will show you an example. Let me see, have I already done it? Oh, I'm ahead of myself. It looks like I have already done it. But I'll show you an example of why I'm grumpy, basically. In terms of how I was using Notion to start with. But let's have a look at the other stuff first. Let's get that out of the way. These are tiny updates that may rock your world. It just depends. So this doesn't actually have, this page does not have an icon at the moment, and you can add icons to pages. You have always been able to add the emojis, and you have always been able to upload your own. And a while back, they added some icons. They have extended the icons, so you can see it says new. Basically, you now have a bigger range of icons to choose from. I doubt there's something for buttons, but, you know, we could try. I should probably not type but and leave it there. There is actually, that one's pretty good, isn't it? Buttons, that'd be nice. As soon as you click it, you then get the option for the 10 Notion colours, 10 standard Notion colours. So we'll go for the orange, you know, MacBites and all that. So that's the first update. You've now got new extra additional page icons, and you've got the standard 10 colours that you can put them in. Right, the other update that is in here, we're going to need more of these. So I'm just going to make some demo things. So we've got 3 in there. So if I open this one and I give this an icon, so what icon should I have for this? Do we have a microphone in here? That would kind of make sense. We do. And again, we'll make that orange. So we now have an icon in there. But if you imagine that you've added in here, so we'll go for YY this time, a lot of these, and either for the brand or just because you want to, you need to change these icons. It's a long process. Because while it only takes a few seconds to go in here and add this, and it does remember the recently used, it's still, if you've got 200 of them, going to be time consuming. So one of the options is that you can now update the icon down here. So if I wanted to change that to be the click button one in blue, I can do that, and it changes all the ones you have selected. We did look briefly at the fact that when you make a selection now, you do have this selection option. So if I hadn't have wanted the first one or this one, you can make a selection, and then when you hit the domino and you go to icons, it's only going to change the ones that you've got selected, like that. So that is also another change. That is actually a pretty big one for me. What I'd done was every video and live session that I've done with Affinity Publisher, it had the Affinity Publisher icon, and then they changed the icon. Again, not pleased. But now I would be able to do a filter for anything that was Affinity Publisher and do a bulk update on the icon if I so chose. So I'm a happier bunny with that one. Right, but let's get back to the catastrophic problem that I've got with this. So what I will do with that is delete those 4. Right. So when I'm creating emails, there isn't just one email. So this just happens to be a reminder for the show, and it would have gone out by now anyway, so that would be completed. Right, so next week I would need another one of those. Again, it's not exactly catastrophic. I could go in here and I could duplicate it. And then I would need to go in and I would need to say, okay, so that's now 4189, and it wouldn't be going out today, it would be going out next week. And it wouldn't be complete, it's not started yet, right? And that would have set it up for me. But again, we don't send out one communication about a show. We send out a batch of them. So what I am about to try and do over here is show you how we actually set that up. And I'm that far ahead of myself. I think I've set them up. Oh, I have. I'm so bad. Right. I know what I'll do. I'll make work for myself and delete them. Oh, in fact, I might not need to. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring on a browser, which will show you for show 190 on the 14th. It's alive. This is the show page. Everything that either Mike and I need to do with that show and that show happening is done from here. So we already have a URL, but it's not public yet. We have a show notes page. That's not public either because Ulysses is broken, but that's a whole different saga. We have a showtime tracker that we use during the showtime, and then we have all of our show management stuff. This is our comms, and this is important. So the comms section is in pink. I then open the comms section, and you can see all of the comms. Now, none of these are started at this point, so I could delete them, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is to show you how these comms get in here. I do not want to be making these by hand. I will misname them. Things will happen, and I will be majorly grumpy. So I use this green stripe here, which was formerly known as a template. Now, then Mike and I had words, didn't we, that became sentences about what a template is in Notion. The feature was called a template, but it was actually like a template button because when you clicked it, things happened. But it was called a template. That is distinct from the below the fold template, which is all of the content that you're looking at now. So how I go about creating these things is I open this, which is a standard toggle. And I have that, and that was the template. Add standard after hours comms. I'll show you what it does, and then I'll show you how it did it. So I would click that, and it would generate me. Is it 10, 8, whatever? It would generate me all the comms that I needed. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of them. What I would then do, because at this stage, they're not in the comms table. They're just sat on the page. What I would then do is drag these into the comms table. I do not need to remove the sort on it, so you can see what I now have is these. Now, pay special attention to these. While the name isn't correct, and that is something that I went through and fixed myself, so I will show you how I did that. I actually went into the first one and I actually have after hours there. So I'm just going to, let's put 200. Right. And after hours is 2 words. So I would put that, and I've now copied it. And that's why the placeholder has no spaces in it, because I need to click once, click twice, paste. Click once, click twice, paste. And that is how I went through, and that is what I did. Right, but what I did not have to do was apply a template to this. It already had a template, which is why we have 2 of them that are my icon and all the others are the MacBites icon, because it already has a template applied to it. So bear all of that in mind. The only problem with this method, and it's worked perfectly for us for the last 4.5 years, is people don't understand it. They don't understand you're using the word template to mean two different things. And to get these templates applied, you have to create the stuff in here, drag it out, drag it up to the button. So what the button actually looks like when it was called a template was this. That's the title that you wanted displayed, and that is what you wanted it to do. Drop these blocks wherever I click. That's it. Okay, all change. All change. Notion have introduced something new. They do not want us to do that anymore. So let's get that out of the way. Live working system and all of that. Get it back so I can see the chat and make it a bit bigger. Or Jammy starts complaining about my eyesight. Right. So back in here, I would like to be able to create all my comms for 9 entries for a show. So how I used to do it was type template. Only now when I start to type template, it says button. Okay, so buttons are the new templates. The bit that makes me grumpy is I can't make a template anymore. I can only make a button. I will explain why I am grumpy about that shortly. But this is how it wants us to do it now. So create a button. And this is now what it looks like. It's got a better interface, I'll grant you. And it can be multi-step, and you can do things that you couldn't do with a template. But you also can't do things with this that you could do with a template. And that's why I'm grumpy. So you could just make a very basic thing of inserting some blocks. So if I choose to insert a block, right, click to edit or drop something in there. So if I wanted to put in there, let's have a toggle. Let's create a toggle list, right? My toggle list. There is my first block. I can then do something different, add more blocks. So let's insert more blocks below the button, You can choose where they go above the button. So let's say above the button in this case. And let's put in this one a heading. So a big heading 1 from my button. So it's a way to automate. So there's the first block, there's the second block. And you can move these around if you need to as well. So drag to move, and I can move them around. And then I click, no, hang on, I would click done, right? If I do, that button's going to be called my button, right? So I'm going to change it to say insert blocks and click done. What we now see in our interface is a button, insert blocks. I click that, it does it. It puts them above the button, or it would have put them below the button. It's fabulous, isn't it? Doesn't it look like it does the same thing? It doesn't. I might be able to persuade it to do the same thing, but natively it doesn't. It would need a dirty hack. In fact, I've just thought of one, you know. I think I might be able to make this work. I'm renowned for my dirty hacks. But natively it does not do what I want it to do. So that's a basic one. Let's get rid of that. We want something more advanced than that, don't we? So with this one, this is the comms table, remember, I would probably put a button at the top. So this time I am typing button, but it doesn't matter if I type template or button, I get a button. Right, what do I want it to do? Well, we've done a basic one, but the basic one would insert blocks on this page, and actually the comms should be in the comms table. So your second option is to add a page to a database. So instead of having to manually drag and drop them in, this would bypass that necessity. That's cool. So I want you to add a page. Add a page where? So select a database. And there is the comms table. Right. It offers me a property which is mail. I do not want to be writing in here after hours and a number. What I want to be putting in is after hours and a code. Like that. That is what that would be called, and I would change it as we go. At that point, you're only doing one thing. You're just naming it. But look at the rest of the data. It would always have a status of not started because it's a new thing. And if it's a MacBites mail, I would need to know that it's going to the MacBites list. If I had to leave those blank, then I'm making work for myself. But what I can do with this button is add another property. So let's add the list that it's going to. And I can choose from the lists I have available. So this one will be going to MacBites. Now I've got the list. Then I can put another property, which is the status. And again, I'm choosing from the options that were available to me, and this one would always be not started. That one is superfluous to actually doing that. Who knows why? Who knows why I don't actually need to add the status there and choose not started? I would need to do that if the status was in progress or complete or any other status, but not started. Oh, Kim likes a dirty hack. I've got to make this work, Kim. I have, because I'm grumpy and I don't like being grumpy. Right, you don't have to do this. I think for completeness, I would. And that way I know exactly what's going to happen without having to think to myself, what is making this not started? But you can set a value of the property to be a default, and the default is not started. So anything that doesn't expressly have anything else set will be set to not started anyway. But it's good practice to put that in there as not started. So Mike, who doesn't know what I've set up as a default, can take one glance at it and know what he's going to get from it. So I've done 3 properties. Right, there's only one more property to do, and that's the date. Can I do that? No. There are incredibly dirty, hideous hacks to be able to do that, but you need to edit the database to such a point. I'm leaving it alone. You don't know when that date is. It will depend on when you are creating this new entry. So I will probably leave that blank and choose it at the point of creation. So at this point, I have done one thing, although I've specified lots of information. I'm adding a new record to the comms table. I am calling it the placeholder name. It's going to have a list set to MacBites and its status is going to be not started. I can, at that stage, add another one if I need to. So I would be able to add 9 records. So if I do another step and say add a page to, and I select the database again, don't disappear. Right, I could say that, let's take that, and we'll make that the first mail. I could go into here and make that the second mail. And then I could add all of the properties. So for this one, it would be going to the list of MacBites, and it would also be not started, and so forth. So these would be 9 different mails. It would be grand if I could duplicate the step, which is even faster. So to get all of these in, I'm going to do 5, but there's 9 to be honest. Right, so now we've got 5 of them, and I need to go through and make sure that they're all numbered correctly. So there's 2, that one is 3, that one is 4, where is 5? Hiding underneath, there's 5. So that is really quick to do that. I appreciate that. I will show you what the problem is shortly. But that is great as far as it goes. So that's my button. And with this, I would say add show comms. And OK. So I go into here. This is my comms table. I'm getting ready for a new show. And I've got this button to add the show comms. So I click the button. And in the blink of an eye, I've got 5 records in here that are formatted exactly as I want to. So if this is for, let's say the show after that, which is the 14th. All right, let's choose the 14th. Let's copy that. Go into there and paste, and they're all going on the 14th. Obviously they wouldn't be, but there you go. Right, so what is wrong with this? Because we even know if we select these things and we hit the domino and we go into icons, we can set the icons. So if I wanted a mail icon there, oh yes, let's have that one, and in orange, I can bulk set the icon. So far so good. And I would have taken that bit, which is why it has no spaces, and made it into a show number. That is brilliant as far as it goes. Right, but let me open up one of these things. It says you can create a template. Well, it's a bit late now, isn't it? It's a bit late now, because now I've got 5 of them. So that's my problem. With the way I do it, with the template, the old way of doing it, they've all got templates. They already have a template applied. They also already have an icon. I have to change one thing. Well, I do have to change more. I've changed the date as well, but I have to change the date in here. But I only need to change the name of it. If I use this method, I'm going to need to bulk apply icons. I am going to need to change the name of it, and I'm going to need to apply a template to it. That's more work than I'm doing now. So the big thing that this is missing, as far as I'm concerned, is it's not letting me choose a template for the new item that's being added to the database. Hopefully they will fix that, but right now, showstopper. I actually started to build the button. And I stopped in my tracks and thought, okay, how do I apply the template to it at the point of creation? So at the point I'm making the button, and the short answer was you don't. So, Kim says she uses those all the time. You need the dirty hack. Well, my dirty hack may or may not work. Let me test it this week, and if it does, then that solves a problem. Because, and this is the bottom line, this is why she's majorly grumpy. If you want to bring a feature in, and it's not ready for prime time yet, go for your life. But leave the old one there for me, because I need my system working. Have they left the old one there? No. So I can no longer create any old style templates. It's just not there. Is there a workaround for that? Yes, luckily there is. I can duplicate ones I've already got and edit them. So don't delete them. It's the best advice I can give you there. Don't do that. I think this feature will, when they improve it, it will be better than templates were. But right now, taking templates away when this isn't all there, when this cannot do what templates did, is short-sighted as far as I'm concerned. But that is what automation buttons do. So one good thing about the automation process is that if you go into it, and let's get down to the bottom. So we add another step and then move it. You can show things like confirmations. You can set it to automatically open a specific page when you've finished. You could set it to edit pages. And of course, while I added all of these pages to the same table, you could add elements to multiple tables. So it is incredibly powerful, and it is way more powerful than the templates feature was. It just doesn't include the niceties, time-saving niceties that the template feature had. Not thought it through, or didn't ask me. Just saying. But that's where we're at. That is where we're at with it. So, do we have any questions on that?
No, we don't.
Oh, I like Jamie saying half the time if I recommend it, he'll part with cash, even as long as it's not a subscription. You should definitely be into Obsidian.
That was TextSniper.
Yes, I know. Right, okay, so that is buttons. So let's get out of there and head back into here. We've got so much to cover. Right, so last week, why aren't you moving? Playing with my mind again. Last week was Canva Create 2023. I did recommend. It was worth knowing what they announced at this lovely conference that they did. This lovely conference. But it probably wasn't worth watching the entire video because it was agonising. There is a shorter version that's about 11.5 minutes, which is indeed worth watching. So last week we talked about the fact they're calling their AI Magic, and the AI is across the entire platform. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing, you will find automation. Last week we looked at translation, we looked at text to images, we created an entire presentation, we added more slides to the presentation. And we described an image and it built it. So we had Samoids playing in the snow, didn't we? We even had Jesus, Mary and Joseph and the wee donkey, and that's exactly what we got. It was brilliant. If you missed that, it's worth rewatching. What I'm going to do today is a wrap-up of a couple of other features that I wanted to focus on separately rather than bombard you with it does this and this and this and this and this. So there's a couple of things in particular that are well worth a look. Again, I had all of this sorted out because I'm going to need Canva, aren't I? And then it crashed. Not Canva, everything crashed. Right, let's get that on the screen. Okay. Oh, that's going to be tricky. That's going to be very tricky because I can't see Notion while I'm doing it, so then I can't see my running order, can I? Let's see if I can get that up on another device. So what I've done, the first thing I did this week, was I clicked on all the packaging so I could show you all of the features, or at least all of the titles of all of the features. Right. Did I mention it's worse than useless on an iPad? I literally can't see which shows which. Let's assume it's that one. Let's make a stab at it. Let's make a guess. There we go. Right, we're there. I've got your problem where everything folds up, which I don't like. Right, so the first thing was across here where it says Discover the Magic from Canva Create. All of these items on yours will be just look like a parcel with a bow on the top. We opened up the first one, which was the Brand Hub last week. And so the Brand Hub, if you need reminding, is where you have brands for the work that you do. So it could be a brand like MacBites and My Brand and Mike's Brand, or it could actually be, in this case, individual products where you've created a brand pack for those. Initially, I think you could have 3, and then they upped it to 100, and now you can have 300. So the takeaway from the brand kits was it's worthwhile creating a brand kit maybe just for one project rather than trying to piggyback it on something else. So when there was only 3, my Scrivener stuff was inside MacBites for no good reason whatsoever. But I've been able to expand those out. So that was the brand kits. So what I did this week was open up all of the others. So Translate. Translate is available in all the options that you have in Canva. We tried it. We did the introvert thing. And we got back from Tracy. It was understandable, but it wasn't up to Tracy's standard, was it? No, I didn't think it would be. But she did say you could make out what they were saying. So it was good enough, if not perfect. Right, then we used Magic Write. So this was where we were asking it to write content. The only thing with Canva was it stopped me adding something to a presentation about Manchester United because it said it was political. I have no idea what it was thinking of. Maybe it was based in Italy. I've no idea, but it refused point blank to let me use the name of one of the managers. What it would have done if I'd have said, managers in the 70s, I don't know. But it didn't like that at all. What it did manage to do better than any other AI I've tried was get the history of Manchester United, which is that's your go-to,
My
isn't it?
test bed, yeah.
Yeah. Was it Edge you did the other day? Yeah, it wasn't good, was it?
No.
It wasn't as bad as Walter Winterbottom. Was it Walter Winterbottom?
No, Herbert Chapman.
Herbert Chapman. It wasn't as bad as that. It wasn't as bad as saying that the Arsenal manager managed United, but it wasn't good. The dates were wrong. The facts were wrong. Whereas with Canva, the facts were spot on. So not all AI is equal is what we take from that. We're going to be looking at Magic Edit and Magic Erase very shortly, but last week we tried out Magic Presentations. So I talked to it and told it what I wanted it to do, and it did it. We looked at Magic Design, where we threw in an image of a microphone, and it made us 6 designs to choose from. They also announced creating animations, which I've stayed away from, I'll be honest, and how to edit with Beat Sync. Now, Beat Sync is not to do with voice audio, it's to do with music audio. So if you've got music that's going ba-bum, 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 and you want the images to change with the music, that is what that will do for you. So I can see that being incredibly useful, but yeah, I didn't bother. And then we tried out the text to image, which was where you describe an image and you get that image. And so that leaves us Draw. So we're going to look at Draw first. I must admit, I assumed Draw would only work on devices with a pen or a pencil. But no, it's there. So it is a toolkit from which you have a range of tools. You can choose colours and you can draw together. So let's try it out. This looks like a whiteboard. You whiteboard? I think you are a whiteboard. So a whiteboard is really competition to Microsoft Whiteboard, Google Jamboard, and Miro. So it's a limitless canvas where you can draw stuff. I love the way they do like tic-tac-toe on here. I mean, if you got caught doing that at work, it does remind me of a live session.
I use that example all the time when I used to demo whiteboards.
Do you?
Yeah, whether it was virtual whiteboards or when I used to do physical whiteboards with the Skype room, I think it was. I used to show noughts and crosses.
I always wonder about, colour between the lines. And isn't colouring supposed to be some kind of therapeutic thing? I don't do this that often, but you have up here a narrow pen. You can change that. So you can change the weight of it. You can change the transparency of it as well. So I probably need it that so we can see it. And then you draw whatever you want to draw. The benefit of this is not just that it's on a whiteboard, but you could annotate your presentations with it if you wanted as you were going through. So let's change the colour of that, and you can use your brand colours. So we could put MacBites in there, although I can... Oh, no. I am using a mouse in my defence. It would probably be way better with a pencil, but that's the first one. The second one is like much thicker than that. So we just use what's there, but it doesn't look much thicker because I edited the width of the first one. So this one I would probably want to be even bigger if I wanted it to be much thicker. Then you've got what I thought was a highlighter pen. I must admit I did. So I thought, well, let's highlight something. And as I drew on it, oh, it's working now. As I drew on it, it totally obliterated it. I couldn't read it at all. That seems to have been fixed. So that's jolly good, isn't it? So I would go in there, and you can see the transparency set to 50. So why am I changing the transparency? That's not what I want to change at all. I want to change this, so it's much bigger. So obviously the transparency wasn't set correctly. Must have been the issue with that. There we go. So you can do all of that. You can also erase stuff. So I went through and erased some stuff. Even if I draw over the top of what I'd highlighted, it does remove the highlighter. And then I think this is the present thing, isn't it? Or is this the select? That's the select as well. So there's shapes that you can put in there and all kinds of stuff. But that's to do with the whiteboard. What I'm showing is the draw tools that you have here, and that you have them across the board in Canva. So learn to use them in one place. You can use them in all the other places. Right, okay. Yes, you make a good point there, Patricia. The tools are a lot like GoodNotes and the PDF Expert tools. They are. I think they just want to add tools to save you having to switch applications to do things. And obviously, by putting the tools in with the whiteboard, you could then... I mean, we could use this, couldn't we, instead of Jamboard? And it'd be one less thing to manage with Jamboard. As I say, I'm not considering I am fairly visual... in drawing things out like mind maps and stuff, I don't often use an unfettered whiteboard. I would use a mind map app, or I would use Scapple from Literature and Latte, which is freeform mind mapping. But there you have it. That is Draw. Right, the other two are even better than that. So I'm going to go back to the home here, because as I said, I do have a file that, one, I've picked the graphics from, and two, I have it done in case it's having a moment. It could be having a moment. Right, it's this one here. So this is just a poster. What it is doesn't actually matter. It's photo editing. So I have this image, and it's a great image of a microphone, but I couldn't help but think it's a bit messy because of this cable at the background. Now, would I be able to take that into a photo editing app and edit it? Yes, I would. Would you try it, Mike?
Yeah.
I thought you probably wouldn't, because the cable is touching at the bottom and it's touching at the side. And if you were to try and do that in Photoshop, well, certainly Photoshop a few years ago, an Affinity photo, it starts to smudge.
I'd end up with bits left over, probably.
Yeah. So I think if you know what you're doing with the photo editing app, you'd be willing to try it. But unless it sort of did itself, you'd probably leave it alone. So what kind of thing are we hoping for at the end? Well, forget this one. We're coming on to this. But we really want something like that, which isn't actually perfect, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. We'll see if we can do even better. But that's the same image with it removed. Right. So I'm selecting the image. Have to do that so I can get into the edit photo. Once I'm into the edit photo, I've got a range of tools on the left-hand side. So I've got a background remover, which isn't what I want to do. I've also got a magic eraser. That is what I want to do. If I wanted the microphone itself to be left on its own, transparent, so it could be used as to composite with something else, then I'd be looking to move the background. Pro tip on this one, doesn't work that well. But I think that's because it's all an overall grey. I mean, the example they give there of the beach ball against the sky, easy. I'm sure Lola could give that a good go. So we are going to try the magic erase. We don't want to lose the background, but we do want to lose the cable. So this does take its sweet time. Now, it says brush over the image. So yeah, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I do need to brush over the image, but first thing to work out is what size do you need the brush. So I would like the brush to cover the width of that. Now, the results you'll get here are random. They are random in Affinity Photo. They are random in Photoshop. Used to be called Content Aware Phil, didn't it? Great fella, Phil. What you need to understand is the size of the brush, or how you paint over this, will determine how good it is. So if you look at the size of the brush compared to the problem, you need to include the cable, but you also need to include enough of the background so it can make a guesstimate as to what you want it replaced with, which is part of the background. So there's a couple of places in this that are tricky. This bit up here is a shadow of the cable rather than being the cable, but it's still going to need to be included. There's another shadow here. This bit is very close to the microphone, and this bit actually goes underneath the microphone. I'm going to try and do it in one because it takes so long. We'll be here all day. So I will draw over that and include the cable, and I am using a mouse, so it's not going to be as precise as it would be if I was using a graphics tablet or an iPad, but let's try and cover it. Now what I'm going to do with this bit, I would expect maybe to have to go back and do something with that, but I'm trying to get that as straight down there as I can, but I am expecting that there'll be a little bit left over. And down there I want to cover the shadow and part of the bottom of the microphone, and then I'm letting go, and this is how long it takes. It could be taking a little bit longer on mine because the machine is doing so much, but to be perfectly honest with you, it took this long last night. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? This better be brilliant when you've finished the time it's taking. I guess it's doing a lot though. And I don't need to do much with that at all. And that is better than the one that I did before. Let's have a look. No, I don't want you to zoom in and out. Oh, I'm in the wrong place, aren't I? Hang on a minute. Let's not edit the photo. Let's go back to here and look at page 3. So when I said it wasn't as good, this one is not as good. There's a bit of shadow there. That looks a little bit better, but there is a little bit of shadow I would need to take out and edit. That one's perfect. That doesn't even look that bad. As a first attempt during a live demo, that's not at all bad. Mike could definitely try that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I might get him to have a go on that tomorrow. Right, so that's the first thing it does. That being, you go in to edit the photo. You can do that from anywhere and use the magic eraser. You are taking away part of the photo. Right, that is the first one. The second one is this one. So I tried to explain to Mike last night what I was doing with this one. Let's say that you found a stock image like this. And you love the green and the leaf thing and the food on it and the orange and the colours. But the dessert, it looks like semolina. Well, actually, I said it looked like somebody had already eaten it once. But, you know, I wouldn't want to put anybody off their Pringles. It's not spectacular. Let's just say that. So you could go away and try and find another image. But I said to Mike, that as a dessert, that needs like whipped cream on the top or something. So I'm going to go back in and edit the photo. This is not the magic eraser. I do not want it to erase anything in the photo, but it could do with, is there a jazz up the dessert button? Is basically the question. And that's what Magic Edit is for. So I click on there. Do you want to use Magic Edit instead? Yes, I do. All right, because it was using the other one. Why have you gone back to there? I want you to edit. Oh, hang on, I hadn't selected it. My mistake. Right, so I do want to use Magic Edit. Right, brush over the image. Okay. What do you mean and where? Right, so what I'm going to do with this is make this bigger, because my problem with this is this dessert not exciting. Certainly not what I want to eat. So I'm going to select the whole thing, including the bottom of the glass. It would be a grand photo if it had a better dessert. The rest of the photo's fine, but this dessert, not spectacular. So, drawing round it. Hopefully it's got enough to know which is the dessert. Right, like that. So I'm giving it a bit of an edge on that. Let's see how it does with that. Right, that's part one. It did not start doing anything, because at this point it's saying, do you want to reset the brushing? Do you want to continue? I'm going to continue. Let's see how we go with it. So I need to press continue, which takes me to stage 2. What do you want? So this is pure AI here. I would like strawberries and cream. I think I just put strawberries and cream. I don't think I put dessert. What I was hoping was that it would bung some strawberries on the top with cream. Oh dear. Right, but we'll leave it at strawberries and cream and then hit generate. Again, it takes a little bit of time. It needs to go away and have a look at it, work out what part of the image you're trying to change, because this time you're not trying to remove it. No, you're trying to be way trickier than that. You're saying, give me a better dessert. So it will generate for you, when it's finished, 4 options to choose from. And that's not at all bad, is it? Oh, that was the first one. And you can audition these by clicking on them. That one's probably nearest to the glass it already had. But I'm thinking the strawberries look better on the first one. That one looks like somebody's eaten a bit of it. So probably that one. If I'm not happy with it, like, why have you just done that? I didn't click a thing. I just clicked on the first one and now you've disappeared. Hopefully it'll come back. There we go. Right, that's better. That would be tricky to do if you were doing it, because you'd have to have the glass with the strawberries and cream in it, but you can see it's semi-transparent. Well, it's transparent, so you can see the leaves through the top of it, which that's good. And then all you need to do is hit done. Now, interestingly, if you don't like that one, if you would like something entirely different, you could say generate more, do it again, because this was what it did for me, and I picked that one, and that one wasn't an option just then. So you may have to do it 2 or 3 times. Pro tip, don't try doing it about 30 or 40 times or you'll run out of daily credits like I did. I don't know what the limit is, but I did. But I think that is pretty decent. We don't have anything like that in Affinity Photo, or I would say Adobe Photoshop, but Adobe Photoshop are rolling out their Firefly thing, so maybe soon. But right now, I think that is, you've managed to use a stock image and edit that stock image, which is just genius. So, do we have any questions on that?
We have comments.
Go on.
Peter says that looks like prawn cocktail and strawberries.
Is that the first one? Let's have a look. Yeah, it does actually, doesn't it? It could be better. But like I say, it's going to generate 4. And if you don't like them, then try another 4. So I was impressed. I was then lusting after strawberries and cream after I saw that one. And the interesting thing with this one is that the bowl is very red. So it added to the image where the other ones were more like the original bowl. But it's a starting point. There you go. Right, what else have we got
Patricia wanted to know what you meant by putting somebody off their Pringles. So Renee's explained.
Jammy has been known to indulge in some Pringles, which are crisps in a tube. We used to love those, didn't we?
We did.
Oh, they were adorable until we stopped having them. Until we started eating healthily. But Jammy had some. So putting him off his food, basically. Right, okay. So if you want more on that, check out last week's. There was more on that in last week's. Right, I'm going to move that to one side and get back into here. We have the freebies, or we would have if things were moving. There we go. Right, this was something I spotted on Twitter this week. Yes, I know, Twitter. It was somebody who was saying there is a free template available for you, and it is a travel magazine, and it's an Affinity publisher template. So I did put the link in, didn't I?
You did.
Tell me I did.
You
Excellent.
did.
So can you make a note to remind me to put it in the blurb as well? Because I haven't QR coded it because everything crashed. So I think it's 8 pages. It's got text in it. It's got styles in it. It's got placeholders in it. So if you are in need of a travel magazine template, it's a good starting point. Also, templates, you can download them and maybe reverse engineer them and get to where you want to be. Okay, so moving along.
It was Doritos tonight.
Oh, Doritos.
Not Pringles.
I don't think I've ever had a Dorito.
I have.
Don't eat pizza either. I'm deprived, aren't I? Clearly. We'll rectify that with tomorrow's shopping delivery. If we've got anything other than water. Did they have water?
They had water, but whether they'll deliver water, we shall see.
It's all right. It's Manchester. It's raining. What was the dog like this morning? Didn't want to go on a walk.
No.
Oh, bless. So that's our freebie this week. Right. The Obsidian thing I've split into 2. I've split it into finishing off the advanced templater features so you can do the daily note. There's lots of code. Don't panic. And then I'm going to look at the insider build, which I have installed. If you are an insider, you can install it today yourself. If not, and then I will be showcasing what's coming. So, first of all, templater. We started looking at templates, and there was the Templates Core plugin, and there was Templater, which is a community plugin. And the difference between them was that templates can handle simple content and simple replacements, and Templater can do all of that and advanced replacements. So it was the advanced replacements that we were looking at. So I promised last week, I think it was last week, wasn't it? When we got onto the advanced stuff, you were asking for the code, and we can't paste the code into YouTube. But I said I'd make the notes. So I have made the notes, and if it hadn't all crashed, I would have finished making the notes. But you will see the notes that I will make available. Half of them anyway. The other half aren't finished because it crashed. But this is what I've done to try and explain it. So if you want to put the title of the note in a template, this is the code that you'll need. So the hash at the beginning means it's a heading 1. Then we open the angle brackets and put a %sign, and that is indicating expect code after this point. Then we have got TP, and TP is templater. Once you put the dot, automatically starts filling in, and file are elements to do with the file. Dot title is the title of the file. So if this file is called 2023-03-31, that is what it will put in the daily note. If it's called Fred, it will put Fred in there. That's the code you need for the note title. Then there's the note title, including the day of the week. So the code that we've got there is the hash sign again for heading 1. That line that's highlighted will give you the name of the note, and a space, and a dash, and another space. Then, the next line, you need all of that code to put in Friday. So how it's working is saying, show me the tp.date.now, but the tp.file.title is being pushed into the variable for the date.now. So instead of giving you now, which would be when you created this note, it will take the title. But if we look at the bit in brackets, we have DDDD. That is going to give you the full day of the week. It is not going to give you the full thing in terms of the title of the note again, because we did that above it. That's what tp.file.title was doing. Then we've got 0. 0 means there's no offset. We want it from that date. We don't want -1 yesterday or +1 tomorrow. We want it to be that date. And then I'm telling it what format to expect from the file title. So the file title is actually in the format year. So the full year, 2 characters for the month and 2 characters for the date. So I'm telling the function, the date.now, where to get that from, the file title, and in what format to expect it. And that is what is then put in the daily note.
As Carol says, you use TextSniper to copy it.
Yes. Yes, there's an idea. Right. We also discussed creation dates. So I'd built a call out which showed you the creation date of the file and the date it was last modified in a block. And how I did that was tp.file.creation_date. And then I passed to it a format that I want it displayed in. And we did exactly the same with the modified date, again in the format you want it displayed in. So that's what we did. But I explained to you that my personal daily note I was having to put in on the day in question, or it all was sadly not right. So let's have a look at that. I have my demo vault open here. So let's bring that on. So what we're looking at on the left is what my daily note looks like, or what it looks like in here. And what we've got here is what that block looked like with the creation date and the modified date, which we don't need at the moment, but I'll leave that there. So this was being generated by the note in here. So if I open up the daily note, that's what we left it looking like. But my actual daily note looks very different to that. So I'll bring on my vault. It's always dangerous, isn't it? Now we'll bring on my vault. So what we're looking at here is my daily note. This is the bit that's missing that we need to look at today. The rest of it is pretty similar. Right, so we need my daily note in the demo vault to mirror what is in my real vault to make it work properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new file there. We can close that one. And we will put in fact, I don't need to do that. What am I doing? I don't need to do that at all. Right, what I do need to do is open up today's daily page. There's today's daily page. Right, so that's what we get from this over here. So we're going to need to edit it. This bit's okay. All of this bit is correct. I hope. That's generating the file name and turning this at the end into the day of the week. The rest of it, all of that, is just text. That could be anything you want to put in there. That's just what I have in mind. But you could put anything you want in there. So it's the bit at the top that needs dealing with. So I'm going to need to make some changes to this. So what I'm going to do in here is get rid of what we've got, and we will recreate the whole thing. Right, so all we're left with is the lines and the plain text that I put in there. So at the very top, in terms of what the daily note needs to look like, what did I put in it? I need to see my daily note now, don't I? Let's go in there. So I'm on my other screen while I open my daily note so I can actually see it. What are you doing? Oh, there we go. Right, I've got lots of stuff in here, but at the top, the very top, I want a way to navigate back to yesterday and a way to navigate to tomorrow. And that's easy if you're putting this code in on the day in question, so today. But I would like the ability to go to any date, 2 years from now or 5 years ago, insert the daily note templater and have it know what yesterday was 5 years ago and what tomorrow is 5 years ago or 2 years from now. Because that way I can make a daily note for any day and start putting content in it. So that is what I need to do. So the first line up here, it's actually not that tricky. Let me see if I can I fold this up? I think I can. Right, I'm wondering if I can bring this on and actually show it to you. There we go. Right, that'll work. That is my daily note for today. And you can see I had 2 at 5 o'clock, 1 at 6 o'clock, 1 at 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, which is MacBites. And what I've got here is it navigating to yesterday, navigating to tomorrow, and then we've got the weeks. So the first line, it actually doesn't look, there's only 3 lines we're trying to create, but there's a lot of code to make it automatic. So we're going to start with this line at the top. Right, so what do we need to put in there? Right, go to the right place in the templater. So resources, Obsidian templater, daily note template. That is what I am doing. Right, the first bit of code is just plain text. It does not need to be inside any code or anything else. I have 2 angle brackets at the beginning. Simple as that. But then I do need to give it some code. And this is the code that will work out what day yesterday was based on the name of the file. So it's not doing this based on today. So this is the code we need, which is that. Now, have you pasted the first bit in? You have. Okay. So I'm going to select that. That way we can actually see the code. So the first thing I need to do is to put square brackets around it because I need it to be a backlink, a clickable link. So that's what the square brackets at the beginning and the end are for. Then I can stop selecting it at that point and move beyond those square brackets to these 2 characters, which is the expect some code after this space. Then I'm saying TP, so templater, .date.now in this format, and you'll find it coming from the file title, but I want you to take 1 away. So it's all in, basically, it's in the right order for it and the wrong order for our minds. But what it's saying is, in that format, expect the file name to be in that format, take 1 from it, and show me that. That's what it means. At the end of that, that is then the end of the backlink that will take me to the date of yesterday. I need a space. Then I need to separate that from tomorrow. So I use a pipe symbol for that, and then put another space in after it. The next piece of code is almost identical. Seriously, almost identical. There is only 1 change in it. So the other side of the pipe, I'm going to put in what looks identical, except instead of taking 1 away, I'm putting that as +1. So -1 from today should give me yesterday's date, and +1 should give me tomorrow's date. Am I done at that point? No, there's 1 thing missing. So it's another backlink, which we can see by selecting it, and that brings into play these square brackets. But the 1 thing we need, and it won't stop it working, but it wouldn't look right, is we need the angle brackets to close that navigation. So we've only got 2 bits of code in there. The first one, we want to take the date of the page, which would be, in this case, that date there. We want it to take 1 off it and display it as 2023-03-30. And the second one, we want it to show as the 1st of April. I'm not getting out of bed until well after lunchtime tomorrow. Definitely not. So that is what that should do. Right, this is our example at the moment. So I can just grab all of that and delete it and apply the template to it. So daily note. And that's exactly what it does. There is yesterday, there is tomorrow, which is great as far as it goes. But if I open up another file, so let's say I'm opening up 2024, let's say Christmas Day 2024, which I happen to have in there. Now, many people don't do that, but I do. I have all of those files available just as blank markdown files. Most people tend to create the daily page by clicking on the calendar plugin. that is usually on the right, which is where mine is. But I have manually forced into it 365 days for every year and 366 when it matters. So I've got the pages available. And I think I've gone back a couple of years as well. That's just me. I'm strange. What can I say? But it does mean now, with my new automated daily note, that if I apply the daily note to that page, it knows that yesterday, if today is Christmas Day 2024, is the 24th of December. And the next day is the 26th. So I can use my new automated daily note at any point, and it wouldn't matter if it was in hindsight either. So if I go in here, you'll see that should navigate backwards. That won't have a daily note, but again, all I need to do is apply the daily note to it, and it knows the day before was the 23rd and the day tomorrow is Christmas Day. It knows that. Right. So I'm going to move back to today. Right, the next thing, which was the trickiest bit, was getting the weeks correct. So I'm going to skip the weeks for the moment, and in between these two lines, I'm going to put in the text that we did last week, the code that we had last week, that put in the name of the file and the day of the week. So this is taking, I've already explained this, this is the first part of the code. The hash is making it heading 1. That is saying, put the file title in. And this second bit is saying, get the file title, treat it as today. That's the format to expect, YYYYMMDD, but show it as just the day. So if we go back to here and apply that, so let's get rid of that one, and apply that, we now have today's date and Friday. But what would happen on Christmas Day? So let's get rid of that and do the same again. Daily note. And Christmas Day is a Wednesday in 2024. So the dates are correct, the name of the file is correct, and the full name of the day afterwards is correct. So far, so good. Right, my other bit that I always have is, let me see if I can get that up there. Not that one. There we go. So my bit looks like that. So on the right hand side of that, you can see we've got the 30th and the 1st of April. And we have week 12, week 13 and week 14 from 2023. That's the most difficult bit, as far as I was concerned, to automate. In fact, once I'd done it, it was no more difficult than the rest of it. But mentally, it was more difficult. There was more of it. Right, so how did I do that? Well, all of these formats here, we've got the DDDD, we've got the year, the month and the day. These are all standard formats. So I wondered what the standard format was for weeks. So up here, I need to start this with my angle brackets, which are, again, are just plain text like that. And then I need to put in the code that will put in a week. So I'm going for the middle one at this stage. So basically just this week. Let's not worry about last week. Let's worry about this week. So I'm copying the text so I can explain it to you. This is the one for this week. Right. So it starts off with the opening instruction for the code. It starts off with the date for now in year format that it's getting from the page title. So it's very similar, isn't it? The main difference with this is that we're taking that to be the year. All I want you to do is to get the title of this page. It'll be in this format, and I want you to extract from it the year, and that will give us 2023. Then I want you to put a dash and a W. That's just plain text. And then straight away, do the same again. Go and get the title of the file. It will be in that format, and I want you to show it me as WW, which is a week expressed as 2 numbers. So if it's week 3, it'll be 03. If it's week 52, it'll be week 52. So W would show week 3 as just the 3, and I wanted the 0 in there, so I put WW in. So just like 4 Ys is a year, and 2 Ms is a month, and 2 Ds is a day, 2 Ws is the week of the year. So again, title of the page, it'll be in that format, display it as 2 digits. And the 0 is saying no offset. Don't show me last week, don't show me next week. This today. What week is today in? Right, at the end of that, you would then need to put your closing brackets in. I think that should do it. Right, so let's try that on this page here. Daily note and apply it. That's actually right, isn't it? We were on Christmas. I was expecting that to be today, but no, it would be week 52 of 2024. Okay, we've got 1 week in. What we now need is last week and next week. So in this code, it would make sense for me, both before this code and after this code, to have a pipe character in it just to delimit it, for no other reason than that, because this is going to be in the middle. So all I've done is add the pipe characters, which means it now looks like that. Pipe character on the left, pipe character on the right. Right. We'll do next week's first. So, the code is very similar. You just need to make one change. So, I will get this and put that there, which is exactly the same. Let me find... Right, so get the title of the file. It will be in this format. Get the year from it and put that in. Add in as text -W, and then do the same again. Get the week number. The only difference is that it's got a 7 in it. There's one 7 and there's the other 7. Why are we putting a 7 in? Why isn't it a 1? It was with the months. It was with the days. Because 7, there are 7 days in a week. So you need to know what week number it was 7 days ago, not 1 day ago, 7 days ago, or 7 days from now. So that is why we've put that in there. Right, now we've got 2 of those at the end, and we don't need that. Let's go and apply it and see if that is working. Indeed it is. We've now moved on to 2025. Life's passing us by. And week 1. So the other thing we need to do up at the beginning of this is do exactly the same again. It's going to be the same code, but this time, instead of 0 or 7, it's going to have -7 in it. And by taking away 7 days, that is how we get what week it was last week. So I am copying that in. This is now getting complicated. It's quite long considering what you see. So I've pasted it in. I'm wondering if there is an error there. I tell you what, let's make sure that is absolutely accurate. I think it's okay, but maybe not. So just to be sure, this is the last piece of code we're putting in. That is what it needs to look like. So we are now saying -7. Title in that format, take the year, but take 7 days off it. Then add the W, then add the week number as 2 digits. And again, you're minusing 7 from that. So we have the -7, we have the 0, and we have the +7. And what that looks like in here is perfect as far as I'm concerned. So what that has enabled me to do, and I've been using this for 14 months and I just didn't bother. It's like, I'll make a daily page as I go. One thing to think about is obviously if you change your mind about what your daily note looks like, then you're going to have to unbake the cake when you get to 2024. But certainly working backwards, when I find a note, so I go through like a paper notebook and I find some notes from 2020 and I think I could do with putting that somewhere because it's no good in this notebook. I go back to that daily page in Obsidian and I apply the daily note to it and then I add the notes. So for working backwards, particularly, it's excellent. Working forwards depends how married you are to the daily note structure that you create. But I've stuck with that one for at least a year. I added a couple of things in, but pretty much I interstitially journal, and it starts there, and I put the quick notes at the bottom. At the end of the month, I go through the quick notes and make sure that anything that needs to be processed or moved or anything done with it is done. And that's part of my monthly review. But that is the daily page. So do we have any questions about how that's actually working?
No, we don't.
No, you're all stupefied now or asleep, one or the other.
Kim says, thanks, that's a great explanation of the code.
Right, excellent. Glad that's useful. Carol, if TextSniper's making mistakes, it could be that it's just too fuzzy or too tiny. You could take some screenshots and try it on the screenshots and see how it goes. But don't worry about it, because I will include this. You said at the beginning that, yes, you wanted the daily note. So I will provide it so you can either use it as is or you can extract what you need from it to make your own. I would love to see what you come up with. So that's the daily notes part of this. Right, the other thing is, yet again, slides, not moving, playing with my mind, mouse pointer, crewing crazy, is the sneak peek of the latest Insider build. So this came out Wednesday. And remember Wednesday, how busy I was on Wednesday? Yeah, this came out and dropped everything. Here I am in a session with shiny new Obsidian. And while they were asking questions and stuff that I knew the answers to, I'm then on YouTube watching a video about it as well. I am so bad. Right, so I've installed it. I will show you how to know that you've got the right build, etc. As I said, you do need to be part of the Catalyst program. But when you go in here and you go to About, you will see in here whether you are able to receive insider builds, etc. So down in your account tells me who I'm signed in as, etc. and that it's a Catalyst license. I currently have an insider Catalyst license, which enables me up here to receive insider builds, and that is toggled on. Oh, they've done another one. Look, there's a new version to be installed. Crying out loud, I'm going to need to do that now, aren't I? Hope they've not changed anything. Do you know I'm going to leave it just in case they have? But I'll do an update later. Remind me, Mike. Right. So that's how you make sure you've got the right thing. And it will say, like this does, relaunch the app to update. That update must have come out in the last 2 hours because it crashed, as I've said many times, which means I have rebooted and I have started Obsidian, and normally that would be automatically installed. So that's literally just come out. We will come back to that. Do not let me forget, Mike. Right, so once it's installed, you are good to go with it. So what we need to see are what some of the changes are. I think there's about, I would say mainly two big changes, and a third that might titillate you if you are so inclined. So let's have a look at these. We'll start with the biggie, I think. Right. You need to know that in Obsidian, we've always had the ability to favourite files with the starred plugin, which is up there. Now, I haven't got anything starred in here, but if I'm working on this daily note and I'm thinking I need to work on that again tomorrow, I've got it so far, but I need to finish it off. In the available options that you've got, you have the ability to star a file. So having starred it, it tells you it's successful and it adds it to the starred panel. For that to work, if you're looking for it, you can't find it, it needs to be enabled in the core plugins under starred there. So that does need to be enabled. But I think it is enabled by default. Right, so that is what we had. We had the ability to star files. This new capability is a completely different plugin, also enabled by default. So right now, if you're on the Catalyst program, you will see that you have this bookmark icon. Bookmarks are going to replace starred files. If I click on there, you can see I've got, now these are actually my bookmarks in another file. That's interesting, but never mind. I was expecting that I would see what I'd got starred in here, but this is doing weirdness. They are not in this file, so I don't think I should be seeing them, but never mind. It's in beta, but this is what it's going to enable you to do. So in here, if I want to work on this daily note, instead of starring it, which it now says unstar because it's starred, I have the ability to bookmark. The biggest difference between the starring and the bookmarking, which you can just about make out in here, is that when you star or unstar something, that's as far as you can go. It's either starred or it's not. But the bookmark is ... So it's going to give you more features. Excuse me while I take a drink. Right. So it shows you the path of the file, and it gives you two things that you can do. You can give the bookmark a different name than the note actually has. So this is called Daily Note. But if I wanted to put in there Daily Note Template, I could do that. So you can retitle without retitling the note. You can also put groups together for bookmarks. Now I'm going to leave that at the moment and we'll just add that. So this Daily Note template has a different name than the page it's associated with. But if I go over there and click that, it does load in the correct page. Right, the other option that you could see was the folder option. So you can now create bookmark groups. So if I put that in there and I put, work in progress, these are things I'm working on, but I would like the ability to fold them up. I don't want to be accosted by them on a daily basis. I can drag and drop these into there. So because I've got this issue, I'm seeing things from another vault, which that does seem to be a problem, right? I'm going to do my famous ZZNIU, which is not in use, just to get them out of our site, because we don't need these, do we? And put all of those in there. Right, so now what we've got is our Daily Note template, and it's in the work in progress. So I can create folders from here. Oh, Sarah says she's going to fall in love with the bookmarks. The bookmarks could be made to give you the best sidebar you've ever seen for navigations. If you think of starring as like a yes or a no, it's like flagging it, and it's either yes or no. And the worst thing that I find with apps that provide the ability to star or flag is that you need that star or flag to mean the same thing. There's no point going through 20 notes, starring the lot, but meaning 9 different things. That's to follow up, that's to email, that's to archive. That does you no good at all. But you would be able to do that with the bookmarks because you could just add another folder. So if I now want to say follow up, I've got another folder and I can put them in there. So this is a huge improvement, Right, I think we can close that Daily Note down, can't we? And we'll work in here. So in the files, I think we do have a few files in here. We've certainly got periodic notes and we've got all this stuff in here. So we had some stuff when we were looking at the Mac OSs and things. So in here, I could then bookmark some of these. So if I'm writing a piece and I'm doing, what was the best one ever? It was Snow Leopard. Snow Leopard was just absolutely perfect. What I can do with that is bookmark it. So go to the bookmark and it will prompt me, do you want to put this in here? Now I'm going to leave that title because the title's fine. But if I wanted that to work on mobile, I may want to just put 10.6 Snow Leopard. So that's an example of when you might want to change it. In the bookmarks, I don't have a bookmark group specifically for this, but it is something that's a work in progress. So I can choose the folder from this dialog box and then save it. And then when I go back to my bookmarks, it's in the work in progress folder. I can also, in here, move these around. You cannot do that in the files. The files are alphabetical. But the bookmarks allow you to create your own navigation. So if I wanted the follow-ups to be at the top, I can completely build a navigation structure in here. I'm going to be spending far longer than is good for me doing that, probably. But that's probably what will happen. And then, of course, you can open up what you need. You can close what you don't need. Beyond that, though, they have improved the search. So if we go into the search here, and let's say we're searching for Mac OS. This will give us lots of results relating to this. The benefits that they've added is under here, we can now collapse the results, which I'm loving that. And you can have it explain the search term, show more context or not. So you could show that if you wanted, but collapsing the results, I'm looking in here, and that they are all of the files that I would want to work with. So wouldn't it be great if I could get back to this without having to rerun the search? That would be fantastic. But that's not what I'm saying. You'll also notice here, I typed in Mac OS. If we look at these early ones, it was called Mac space OS 10. And then it changed with Sierra to Mac OS, not OS 10. But it found all of them, because these do have Mac and OS in there. They just don't have the space, but it found it anyway. So this set of results is actually perfect. I'm probably going to be using that quite a lot, is what I would have thought of. And there is a way that you can bookmark that, apparently. So I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing it. Where's the way to bookmark this? That's the match case. So this one here, if I toggle that on, it's only finding the OS part of it and not the Mac. It's not highlighting it, but it doesn't actually make any difference in this case. Right, I am looking for where do I add this as a bookmark. I know I can, but I'm not seeing it. It's not under there. I know I can, but I'm not seeing it. Apparently you can. I wonder how. There's one to look up for next week, isn't it? But you've got your searches, so you can bookmark the searches. The other thing that you can bookmark is, we go into here and we go into the graph view, our entire database. Oh, look at that. If you're wondering why there's so many in here, this is because I've got all the days in there for the next few years. So my graph is usually a bit on the skewed side. But in here, I can bookmark that. So at the moment, it's an untitled graph because it's the whole graph. If you wanted to have different graph views of certain pages, you could do that. So let's put entire graph. And I want to put that in a bookmark group called graph view, but I don't have that yet. So I'll leave it at saved. I will go back up here. You can see we've got entire graph there. It also gives you an icon to show you that it is a graph view. And I will put these in and create one called graph views and put that in there. I think it would be nice if I was able to create a folder at the point I'm creating the bookmark, but it's in beta. So hopefully it will appear down the line. So that is what they've added. Now, one thing that is a question, and it relates back to Notion. Why do we still have starred if we've now got bookmarks? They are both still there. They are both enabled by default. Why? And that's because bookmarks are not available yet in the mobile app. So if they unceremoniously took away the starred feature, you wouldn't have access on mobile devices to your starred notes right now. That's the correct way to do it, Notion. Leave stuff there until it's ready for prime time, and then deprecate the other one slowly, for those of us still using it, just saying. But I think they have approached this in the correct way. I would have no need now for starred, because I don't use starred notes on my mobile devices. The way I structure my database, I use backlinks and navigation, so I don't really use the starred feature that much at all. I think I will use bookmarks more, and I will use bookmarks on the mobile devices, but I can wait until it's available on the mobile devices. So if you are at the point that you would like to turn that off, all you need to do is to go into your core plugins and find the starred view and disable it. And it will take it away from the navigation, and it is now gone. Right, the other thing that I will show you is now we have an update. This is how the update works. So I put automatic updates on. If I had closed Obsidian down and reopened it, it would automatically update. Now, I know that's pretty dangerous for some people, but I'm quite trusting. And they're only plain notes and they're backed up every 10 minutes. So this is what I saw. This is my real database, remember. This is what I saw when I updated to this on Wednesday. So it automatically opens the release notes. It tells you what the big changes are in here. And it's telling you that bookmarks was the biggest thing and that they have improved the search. And then it carried on. Oh, I'm seeing the option to bookmark the search. I'll whip back and do that. There's also options in here for the hotkeys and the changes to that and any other changes. So that is what you would expect to see. For me, I have that automatically, but it doesn't do it even automatically unless you reboot the app. And I have the app running all the time. So I do have to go in and check it. Right, so in here. What we need to do. We need to note the fact that there is an update available, and all you need to do, there's no installation progress or process or anything like that. You just click relaunch and it will relaunch it after it's updated it. So it's updating it right now. It's opening up all the vaults that were open before you asked it to relaunch. So my vault's on the left-hand screen and the main vault is what we're looking at. And this is the update. So it's pretty similar, which I would expect. This is the 1.2. The other one is just a tiny update in there. So I'm trying to click on it. There you go. What they've changed. So stuff that's improved, that's no longer broken, etc. But it's only a point update, so it's quite tiny. Now, these results, right, I wanted to add the results, and apparently it's on there. There's the ability to bookmark a set of results. So it's a query, and you can give it a title. So let's put macOS notes. And I probably want that in the work in progress folder and save it. So if I get rid of this, so no search, let's fold that down. We'll leave the graph view out. Let's go back into here and go to the bookmarks. Right, in this bit here, I could open up my daily note template, and that's what it would do. I can go into my work in progress and go to there, and there, I don't have to retype that search. It takes me straight there. From there, I can look at these and think, Snow Leopard was perfect. Do you know which was the worst? In fact, it's difficult to pick the worst, isn't it? Lion had its moments. Then I can go into there and I've got the notes that I made for that, and then I can start working. If I now go back into the preferences and go to about, you can see that there is no app to update. It's saying your app is already up to date. So that is what is coming in Obsidian. And the bookmarks, oh, that's genius. It's genius. I'm loving it. The fact that you can rename them, the fact that you can put them in groups, and of course, as with anything Obsidian, it will only get better. But that is what we have at the moment. So do we have any questions on that?
We have one comment from Carol who says, I only have 5 functions showing in the list, even though she'd restarted and updated.
5 functions where, in what list?
I don't know. I assumed it was to do with Obsidian. I could well be wrong.
5 where? You could mean at options at the top. These are there by default. Is that what you mean, or is there something else that you mean? Let me know what you mean. Carol is loving bookmarks, though. Bookmarks, I think, is one of those things that's going to be like a game changer, because it's another way to organise your data. You've got notes. You will physically have the notes in a folder if you bother with that. You can turn off folders in Obsidian. So if you're coming from Rome and you're not used to managing files and folders, you can turn it off. I do find it useful at times. But where a note physically is in the folder structure is one way to organise it. Tagging it is another way to organising it. Linking it with double brackets is yet another way. And now you've got this bookmarking where if you are working on stuff like work in progress, instead of having a work in progress tag, you could just add it to a work in progress folder, if that makes any sense. And I use very few tags, I'll be honest. I'm much more likely to create a page for something than I am create tags. But I do think it would be useful, context switching, to have a list that I can see in the bookmarks. It just adds another element to it. I'm wondering.
She sorted it.
Excellent, excellent. I was wondering if you could just open up all the tabs in there, but that says opening a new tab. What are you opening? Oh, indeed, it looks like... Is he doing it all? Well, I've got a new tab. Oh, I've got weirdness going on. I'll tell you what, let's shut everything down apart from one and see what it does. I was hoping what it did, or what it would do, was open up the 3 files. So let's see if it does. Say open to the right. It is. It's opening all 3 of them. So it's a way of opening multiple things as well. I do wish there was a default for having these where I have them, which is down the side. So I do switch these in from the side. But that is showing you, except this one, which is generating a new tab. Shouldn't do that. That's because this one is a saved search. And while I've said opening everything in this folder, it's not opened the saved search in here. I think I left that there. Let's have a look if it does. Go back in here and open up the lot again. So let's lose this, open up to the right. Do you load it in the search or not? No, you don't. So there's something that needs fixing for a start. But that's nice. You know, if you do have 4 or 5 pages that you're working on, you could close all your tabs and pages and then just open up what you want to work on. Just another way to work. I love the attention to detail that they've got. So, if we do not have any questions on that, I will get back into here. Okay, where are we heading from there? Oh, we are heading into what we've got coming up. So we will be back again next week. Oh, how is it April? And it's Good Friday. So we will see you next week. Same time, same place. On demand, we have everything that we do. So you will find that at youtube.com/Elaine Giles. We have a dedicated MacBites After Hours playlist, which has now got 189 shows. I know, today is only 188. One of them needed to be redone when Google lost its sync. And I do mean sync. Lost the audio sync. And you will find that at macbites.co.uk/after hours playlist. And of course, we love you guys. If you love us or you have learnt anything tonight, please give us a like, because it really does make a difference with YouTube, because YouTube has a mind of its own. But we love YouTube, don't we? Oh, we do. And you could subscribe and hit the notification bell, and that way you won't miss anything in the future. So, if you want to hear from me, you need to go to elainegiles.com/VIP, which is my VIP list, where I will send out notifications of upcoming live streams that are not MacBites After Hours. And let's just say there's one. We're thinking sooner rather than later, aren't we? If only I had a poster for it. Now I've got the blurb written, I haven't got a poster. I'll work on that. But you need to go to elainegiles.com/VIP. The MacBites mail is macbites.co.uk/MacBites You will hear on the MacBites list all about the after hours, both before and after the event. After the event, it will have the timings in it, and you will be first to be made aware that there is a new MacBites show. Obviously, 2 in 2 weeks. Do you think Jonathan collapsed at that thought?
Probably.
Yes. I mean, I know he's in bed now, but he's listening on catch-up. Do let us know what you thought, Jonathan. And there's Slack, where we carry on the conversation. If you want to join, if you are not already a member, you need to go to macbites.co.uk/join Slack. If you are already a member and can't remember how to get there, you need to go to macbites.co.uk/Slack. Not join Slack, just /Slack. Right, and I think that's it, isn't it? I need to do magic things here, which aren't happening. Where are we? I've got far too many windows open, you know. No, I need to be in that window, don't I? There we go. That's what we need. Yay! So, do we have any questions now you've had time to have a think? And did Renee catch last week's with the Dutch? And how was the Dutch? Now we know how the Catalan was. Oh, Kim's loving the shows. Excellent. Excellent. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Renee. Glad you enjoyed it. Oh, the Feast of St. Benjamin. Isn't it May when you and your colleagues were discussing what days you could work? And it was basically like 3 of them. It was something to do with a Spanish colleague of Mike's and Mike. who were working with somebody who must have been in the States, mustn't they? So Mike's like, no, 1st of May is a bank holiday. Oh, right, okay then. And then the next one was the 8th of May. No, that's a bank holiday, because it had to be a Monday, didn't it? The Spanish guy was saying, no, I can't do that, it's a bank holiday. And by the time you'd finished, there was like 3 working days. Love it. Absolutely love it. Busy weekend. Excellent. Right. What else have we got? Carol enjoyed it. Right. Well, what I'll do is I'll finish those notes with the coding. They'll look like what you saw, but I'll finish it off. The slides were there. And then what happened first? I think PowerPoint started misbehaving. And then the updater from Microsoft said I needed to update. Then I deleted my own video. Don't ask, it's a long story. So I then had to close down PowerPoint entirely. Then the entire machine crashed. And I'm like, oh, come on. I only had like 6 slides to go. But I didn't manage to do it. But I did manage to start on time, which was some kind of miracle. Because then I had to test the audio again. It's been one of those nights, hasn't it? But at least you got to go on a 2-minute walk with Lola. Not many people are doing that. What was she like? Oh, she would have been like Zebedee, wouldn't she, trying to get over that fence? It takes you all your time. I mean, Mayo was twice as bad. Mayo, if he put the brakes on, that was it. No one was moving. At least with Lola, you can do a little bit of persuasion and tugging, can't you?
True.
Yeah, Mayo, no chance. No chance. I remember taking him out to the park. I don't know where you were. I think it was during the day as well. So I got him on his 14 leads. He used to have 4 leads when he went out, 2 on his harness, 2 on his collar. And I got him out there. I ended up tying him to a tree. He was a very, very, very pulling dog. But there again, I think he missed the fact that he wasn't like a husky thing, pulling a sleigh. So he was pulling me. So I tied him to a tree. His leads were that long. He ended up in a bunker at the golf course. We have a 9-hole golf course in the park. So I'm sat on the edge of the bunker and he's digging to Australia in the bunker, tied to a tree while I recovered. Oh, Carol enjoyed tonight as well. Excellent. Okay, so what's planned for next week? We were going to look at mobile, using Obsidian on mobile. I'll have a think about that in relation to something that Mike said as well, which was you're never quite sure what to link to what. So this manifesto guideline things, yeah, you'd be interested in that. I shall have a ponder. It's not bank holiday. Oh, it is. It's bank holiday next Friday. But I don't ever get a bank holiday, do I? Because Friday's MacBites Day, but never mind. And it's a bank holiday on the Monday as well. But I love what I do so much, I carry on whether it's a bank holiday or not. Doesn't actually matter if it's a weekend or anything, does it? It's like, where did you spend the day? In the office? Loved it. Okay, we will head off then, because there's ice cream to be had, isn't there? Well, no, there wasn't actually. Well, there was. They just didn't bring the white magnums. We've only got salted caramel magnums, which is obviously a first world crisis. Yeah, it is a crisis, isn't it? Yeah. So there is that. I'm going to have to find something else. Have you managed to order any white magnums?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they'll come, obviously. No. Who did you go with in the end?
Asda.
Oh, quick reveal. Tesco. Sidelined. You're dumped. They have been shocking lately, though, haven't they? Shocking.
They have.
And their timekeeping, mind you, Asda's no better. Do you remember when Asda told you at 3 o'clock they were coming? And they weren't but till 9. So it was like, why are you telling us 6 hours before you're due that you're actually here? Which was kind of what happened this week with a book that I ordered. But I think I'll save that for next week when it finally arrives. Oh, good grief. Right, okay then. So, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And I'm also going to say, stay safe, guys. See you next time, and stay safe, guys.